on this one. Hello, my Facebook family. Hello, my YouTube family. How is everybody today? I hope you are doing well. We have got such a wonderful treat for you today because actually, we got two different shows we're going to bring to you. So you're going to see Rebecca and I make a change of clothing probably a little while from now, and we're going to bring you the teachers. I know y'all want to see the teachers, but let me tell you who we've got right now. We've got a longtime friend and fellow native Houstonian in the house. And we worked with him, my sister Kim and I worked with him when we had the Rejoice Television Network back in 2010.
2010.
I know it's been 15, it doesn't seem like it's been 15 years. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, well that's even better because we still look good.
Yeah, we still look better.
We have got the wonderful artist extraordinaire, native Houstonian, Tex Freedom in the house.
There we go.
Tex Freedom, our country. And you may be asking, well, who is Tex Freedom? Is he from the rodeo?
Yes.
Well, he's going to actually tell you a little bit about himself. I want him more than anything to give you the background on how he became Tex Freedom and how Houston and the Houston community molded him into the man that he is today. And he's going to give us a little insight on what he's doing now because he's doing something absolutely remarkable with his music. Tex Freedom, introduce yourself and our other guests that we've got in here today.
Appreciate you. First and foremost, thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
I'm blessed to have my road manager friend, Queen sister with me. This is Tanya Moore, New Horizons.
Looking to New Horizons.
There it is.
Yes.
Look at the New Horizons. It's her business.
Awesome.
And you know, Tex Freedom it's a brand. It's a movement. And what Tex Freedom is not just me. We are Tex Freedom.
Okay.
Tex Freedom is, and as it grows, I call it a band of believers.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I represent Tex Freedom. And how Tex Freedom, it's really a brand new brand because of what happened to me while I was living in California.
Wow.
And I've been in California now I was in California for 3 years living.
Okay.
Been to California several times, but God had me living in LA for about 3 years.
Yes.
And in those 3 years, you know, I performed a lot. I had a studio in Inglewood, being that my grandfather was from Inglewood.
Right.
My father's father that my father never met.
Okay.
You know, he was 2 years old when he left and then he passed away.
Okay.
And then at 11 years old, I got a chance to go to Inglewood. And at that time, my father's brothers and sister, they all said, oh, you the last boy with the name.
Yeah.
Which is the VN name. My
Right.
name's Charles VN.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about that then, but years later, I have now 3 boys.
Yeah.
With the name.
Now you know how important it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So Tex Freedom is actually a movement. And now my last month or few weeks in California, I had an accident.
Okay.
Okay. And in that accident, I literally fell dead.
Wow.
Okay. Nobody told me I fell dead.
Right.
Nobody even came to my rescue when I was laying in the ground.
Wow.
On the ground in the subway station, Hollywood and Vine.
Wow.
December 17th, I blacked out and it hit the rail.
Good
I
grief.
had a head injury.
Right.
And I still to this day, I don't know the timetable of me laying there, but when I came back, I was laying in a pool of blood out of my face.
Wow.
And I got up and the first thing I did, I felt my face and I had a huge gash in my face.
Yeah.
And then I wrapped myself up because I was bleeding. And I wrapped myself up and I had blood all over my hands and now I was in my shirt. And I didn't know really what to do because all I remember is laying there.
Had anyone called the ambulance?
No. I laid there and I'm watching people's feet. But in LA, it's a place where people lay around everywhere.
Oh my goodness. So
Hollywood.
no, it was no surprise.
It's Hollywood. It's crazy
Wow.
like that. Yes. And
I
I
mean,
mean,
people just leave you in your own blood and keep it moving.
yeah.
That's
But you know,
something else.
but I do now understand because after time and prayer, I asked God why. It's because I don't, what's about to happen to you, I can't let anybody have any credit
Right, right.
because it has to be me that did it. And that way nobody says, well, I helped them.
Amen.
I was involved in helping them to this particular point. So it has been nobody to actually assist me in the move of me coming from Hollywood to Houston present time. God has allowed me to go through some things here now.
Okay.
As the Tex Freedom was revealed to me during the last few weeks of my time in Hollywood because, you know, after that, I got, on the 29th of December, I got faced with an eviction notice.
Okay.
And told me, said, you got till the 5th, pay me X amount of dollars or get out on the 5th.
Right.
From the 5th to the 7th, I had no place to stay because I bought immediately. God said, buy a one-way ticket to Houston.
Yeah.
So I bought it to Houston ticket, and I was trying to get here on the 4th,
Okay.
but I couldn't get the ticket to the 7th. And I asked the landlord, I said, can I just stay 2 more nights? He said, no.
Right.
In that, God said yes, because he gave me another place to stay for 2 nights.
Right.
And I was able to store those big bags because I was leaving one way. I had 3 big bags. So I ended up having the opportunity to, you know, stay somewhere else for 2 days. Come back and fly out on the 7th. And as everybody knows, on the 8th, there was fires that came in the house.
Yes.
In Southern California. So I was in bed in Houston the day of the
Watching it on
fires.
TV.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And people in California, one guy said, man, the angel left and the fires came.
Yes.
I said, well, thank you.
Yeah.
But it was such an interesting from the time of December 17th. God revealed to me, he said, now is the time for you to talk about the dream and how you've been able to live the dream. All the time I was gone from here, and when I left here 9 years ago to then to now, I was always talking about building a bridge, H to H.
Right.
Okay, and it was always
Houston, Hollywood.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember.
and there's a 2 in there because everything is always done in twos. You know, when you're building something, it starts in twos and then it multiplies from there. You can't get anything if it's not 2. Everything starts in 2.
Exactly.
Multiplication. So with that, I always knew that everywhere I go, I would find somebody that would connect with the vision and we would build.
Okay, got you.
So it's always Houston to Hollywood.
Right.
So I knew that I was building on that side, but I would have to come back here to explain it and be able to lead somebody across the bridge. You can't take somebody somewhere if you haven't gone for yourself.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So we started building the Houston to Hollywood. It started with 2. It started with me and Dewan.
Right.
Tone,
Right.
2 Official Kings.
I remember him.
Okay, he helped me start the project.
That's right.
All right, and he was Charlie Victory as a costume character.
Okay.
The cowboy
I
called Charlie
remember.
Victory.
Yes.
So even the country project that I'm in right now, even that started because I started as a voice for Charlie Victory.
Okay. Now I'm gonna stop you right there because I'm gonna roll the tape back
Okay, okay.
because I want people to understand sort of how we came together.
Right.
My sister and I, when Kim and I had the Rejoice Network, I'm not even sure how we all met, Charles, because I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was
You know, you
that's right. It was Pastor David. It was Pastor David, yes. And you had the most remarkable concept and vision that you brought all the way to fruition
Oh my gosh.
with baby Isaac
And the
and
baby
the
guys and crew. Yeah.
And I remember you went out to schools, you went out to churches, you went out to fairs and places, and you were able to really get children involved in positive, wholesome things
Right.
that built their self-confidence.
Right.
And you, but especially, it was important to do this in urban areas.
Absolutely.
Because many times our children do not see themselves in that type
Mhm.
of light.
Absolutely.
And you made sure that you show them themselves in those characters. And you had, I'm going to say, and right before you left, we were coming up with the concept of the character Faith. You remember her?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Faith
we,
is coming.
we didn't get to, you left before we could get Faith off the ground. But um, your concept, can you tell us a little bit about Baby Isaac and the Baby Isaac crew,
For sure.
and what their purpose was,
For sure.
what their vision was, and we just told you, I know you talked to my sister earlier in the week, that it's just, put this in the recesses of your mind, but we could see Baby Isaac really being a hit now because technology has changed.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
Technology and social media drive things that they couldn't even drive 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
So tell us about Baby Isaac.
Okay, well, Baby Isaac is a shout out first to Isaac,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Emmanuel, and
Yes.
Romello. Those are my 4 superstars.
Yes.
My sons.
Yes.
Baby Isaac is a real child. And
Yes.
when he was born at 3 months old, his mother and I we were always interested in teaching our children from the day one. We always wanted to make sure that from the womb, that they were being taught.
Right.
So we had this thing called My Baby Could Read, and I remember it was after the Hurricane Ike hit.
Yeah.
We were all kind of struggling. We
That's
went
right.
from apartment to my mom's house, and
Right.
Baby Isaac was in a baby carriage,
Right.
and we used to have the video My Baby Could Read in front of him. Mello was 5 years old, and he was always running around. We called him
Yeah.
Mello the hyper dog.
Yeah.
So Mello said, "Daddy," and it was interesting. I remember the question. He said, "Daddy, draw Isaac. Draw me a picture." He loved my drawing.
Because you were by trade a graphic designer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Cartoonist. And
Cartoonist.
I used to love my daddy drawing. He would
Yes.
draw in church to keep me quiet.
Yes.
So when Mello asked me that, Mello said, "Daddy, draw Isaac and draw me a dog." So I was like, "Oh, wow, he liked my artwork. I'm feeling
Yes.
daddy-ish, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So I said, and I told my wife, I said, I could digitize that
Right.
and I can make it talk. I can do something better than
Wow.
My baby could read. So, and I remember watching the news, they were saying bullying is this and that. And
Yes.
big
I remember
news.
that. Yeah.
So I wrote a song with and made his mouth move and hands move like this.
Yeah.
And you can still find it on YouTube.
I
You know,
know,
the
I know.
hands move is a cartoon. And I said, "Will you be my buddy and don't be a bully?" And the
Yeah.
song just like went
It
crazy
did.
as a cartoon.
Yeah.
Shout out and rest in peace to DJ Zen, who saw the value in it and took me to Austin.
Yeah.
Austin, he had me in front of him. He said it was going to be 700 kids, but it ended up being 3,000 kids at the Delcourt
Wow.
Center.
Wow.
And all of them, I remember being on the computer and playing. I had 5 videos at the time. We took the kids from McGregor Elementary to there.
Yes.
And I remember watching it in the bus with the kids, and they all loved it. Then watching it on a big screen in the Delcourt Center. And I was like, I told my ex-wife, I said, "Look, if I would have came here with a mascot like a Chuck E. Cheese,"
That's right.
I said it would have been crazy. So by that time, I figured out 2010,
Yeah.
I ended up with one costume, which was
Baby Isaac. Yeah. The first one, the first Baby Isaac costume.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I remember running across the gym floor in 2010,
Uh-huh.
and I remember she used to come around with the camera. She came into the dressing room, and I had that head off, and I said, "No, no," and she videotaped me, and I was sweating to death.
Yeah.
I said, "I need some help."
Yeah.
So I made some more mascots, not knowing
That's right.
that it was going to be people to fill them.
That's right.
And immediately God gave me, I did Baby Isaac at the convention center
Yeah.
downtown, and lo and behold, he sent me Andre and Kendra
Yeah.
and Eric.
That's
Now
right.
we had a full crew. And I made the costumes
Yeah.
in faith.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I made them without bodies.
And they
I was sitting
developed,
home.
they developed into their own personas.
Man.
And
And they
that
did,
was-
these boys were in high school,
Yeah.
and I gave at the New Rejoice,
I
where we
remember.
moved into the new place.
That's right.
I gave these boys, their teachers even came and we had to sign off
Yeah.
on them coming to work with us. I gave them the opportunity to do voiceover for the
Yes, they
characters.
did.
They did the green screen with the characters.
Yes.
And it just got big. I got the chills because I really feel like this was real.
Yeah, it
We
was,
did something
yeah.
major.
And I don't know if you even realize it like we realized it, because before Kim even talked to you, she was the one that brought that up to me. She said, you know what? I was just thinking about Charles the other day. Right now, baby Isaac would be
Massive.
massive, simply because the technology has changed.
Oh my gosh! Right now, I mean, and I'm not sad or mad
No.
or but let me tell you, I'm gonna tell people like this. I'm gonna tell you this. When God gives you something to do,
Right.
make sure you create a strong foundation. And when you create that foundation, never abandon it.
Right.
Okay? Now, I mean, I never, yes, yeah. I've never made that type of money before
Right.
at that time.
Mhm.
Okay? I went from doubling up. And I had a cost,
Yes.
and we're doubling that cost. And it's not. You don't just get an assembly show. It's not cheap.
That's
We
right.
had a cost, and we were doing 2 shows a day. By 11 o'clock, I was slapping hands,
Right.
and we were doing it 4 times a week.
Right.
So we had that type of income and contract to where I said, you know what? I had a California dream. I love when California sell you a wolf ticket if you don't really have it, because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very expensive, and if you can't afford it,
It's not the place for you.
you go visit and come back home.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I was able to afford it, but I didn't foresee foresee the financial troubles that would happen if I would lose a contract.
I got you.
Okay. So now I'm in California with a house, and I lose a contract, and and if you don't have a solid structure family wise, things will happen to where your communication changes.
Yes.
And so I went through a leveling period to where I literally, went through a divorce.
Right.
And that divorce put me in a mental state of mind.
Yes.
Because now I was separated from baby Isaac.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm
Exactly.
separated from now, not only baby Isaac, now we had Charlie, and then we had Mello, who was my buddy.
That's
I
right.
give him credit because
That's
if
right.
he did not say, Daddy, draw these characters, I would not be here to talk about it right now.
Right.
Which now is still in effect because baby Isaac is still able to come back in another way, a greater
Yes.
way. We call him Isaac the Great now.
That's right. Yes.
Because
Yes.
it's no longer a baby.
Yes. And kind of give us an idea of how really baby Isaac was really the father of all of these.
New
Classic.
cartoon characters on TV
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You had Gracie's Corner, which is a very popular number.
Yeah.
And see, we were at the time of being on YouTube when YouTube didn't.
Brand new.
Yeah. People look at my stuff. It's like, we don't have a lot of numbers on your stuff. It's like, because for one, I've been off for 9 years.
Yeah.
And then 2, we didn't do it like that.
That's
we had
right.
stacks of paper.
That's
People
right.
filling out cards that never got logged into the system.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, I do see everybody, the people, especially the ones that come out of Houston. I see the influence that baby Isaac had on them, and I'm not mad because that's what I want to be. I want to be somebody that influences the culture
Yes.
of entertainment.
Right.
And now I know that what I'm doing, I created something brand new, country trap soul. Nobody ever heard of that. No,
Wow.
Who heard of country trap soul?
I never heard of it. But now Tex Freedom, segueing on
Okay.
into Tex Freedom. Tex Freedom has how many songs out now?
Today I did number 29.
Wow.
Yes.
And correct me, but do they even call them albums anymore? You can tell I don't know much about music, huh? Do people simply release singles? And how does it happen?
I call what I'm doing what I have now is a super EP.
Okay. And what
Because
does an EP mean?
Extended play, which is
Okay.
5 or more songs.
Got you.
And then
Gotcha.
it leads to an album.
Yes.
But because we release singles, I have 5 singles that will be out by the end of March on the full platform of Spotify,
Wow.
YouTube, all the platforms. But on music.texfreedom.com, if you go to that, music.texfreedom.com,
Yes.
you can get the full list of 29 songs now, and it probably keeps increasing. So if you get there, that's how I release, and I release them on there because I want people to understand that the work, you got to be working. Working never stops,
And
and
have you
that's
broken a record?
never broke. I don't know yet. I don't know. I feel like I'm breaking them. Yeah, and Miss Moore is able to watch the process because she's my manager. She's my road manager. We have a team of three. Shout out to Life Depot Management.
Yes.
And we have three managers on board with us right now. She's the closest one because she gets to house me. She gets to run with me. When
See
I
the
go
entire
places.
process.
Yeah.
So now, speaking of Miss Moore, tell us a little bit of how you got into really helping to build up artists.
When I met Edwin
Uh-huh.
about a month ago,
Uh-huh.
he enthusiasmed me
Yes.
so much because the first thing I saw was God.
That's
When
right.
he started to talk,
Exactly.
he opened his mouth.
Yes.
That's the first thing I witnessed.
Yes.
And when I witnessed that, I'm like, wow, this man he has empathy for other people.
Right.
He's so humble. He's an humble man.
Yes.
And I said, wow, I would love to work with him
Yes.
because of his character, because of the type of person that he is.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. And now, tell me this. I know that we're going to be seeing a lot. Are we going to be seeing motivational things from Tex Freedom? Are we, in addition to the music? When I speak to you, I don't know if you've ever done. I know if you've done this before, but let me ask you: can people contract you to write jingles for their businesses? And because I remember you did that, you've done this type of thing
Yeah.
around Houston before.
Right.
Yes.
I'm the jingle genius.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I say that
Yes.
everything this man touches turns to gold?
Oh, I know it. I know it.
And because it's God that's working through him.
Yes.
And he's obedient.
Yes.
He hears God's voice. He has a gift as well.
Yes, and I remember before, and I won't mention the name of anything, but right before you left, you were in talks with a large organization, service organization, and you've done an Eagle for that service organization. And I think that soon after you moved, so it may not have y'all may not have seen that to fruition, but I was like, and the Eagle had on the uniform and everything. It was awesome. It was awesome, and you know. You are the type of person who, just like Miss Moore said, everything that you touch has got a special anointing on it. And I'm so happy that Rebecca is here because Rebecca's going to take us back for a minute to a different era that I'm a little bit prior to that era, but a lot of people may remember Tex Freedom, Charles VN from this era.
So imagine me, I'm in seventh grade, okay, seventh grade. And after school, the girls be just talking about music and all this other stuff. And one of my girls, my best friend, she was my best friend to this day, she said, have y'all heard of that music group Ideal? And I was just like, no. She was just like, they are gonna be like hot as Drew Hill.
And they're from Houston.
And well, we didn't know they were from Houston.
Okay.
So we're in seventh grade. So,
Okay.
so I was like, because I was a big Drew Hill fan, still a big Drew Hill fan. I said, oh, okay, nobody be bigger than Drew Hill.
Yes.
So they was like, no, seriously. So I heard the song and I was like moving and I was like, okay, Auntie. And then I went to her house and because, music videos was not allowed in my Christian home at that time.
Yes.
So we was watching the video. I was like, oh my God, that's Ideal. So, we were just dancing and just having a great time and just was like, okay. We was just fangirling over Ideal.
Wow.
So
And little did you know.
little did I know, years and years later, I was gonna actually meet one of the members of Ideal. So I've been kind of fangirling a little bit, y'all, since he's walked in the door.
Wow.
So just a little
You're a
bit.
fan too.
Tell us what that was like coming from Houston and actually getting to live that dream that so many young artists, everybody has the dream, but people can't necessarily live it.
Well, Houston is a special place. It goes back to like early 80s for me because, even though I was a member of Ideal, I was already doing a lot of stuff from the time I was 9 years old
Okay.
that I can remember through doing ensemble and through doing the Miller Outdoor Theater,
Yeah.
Motown show. when Ideal Act literally started in high school.
Okay.
Because it started with, and when I was in 10th grade, I remember that I met Jay Green.
Okay.
He became my best friend at the time. He was 9th grade, but I was 10th grade.
Right.
And we used to sing duet together. And then, but in
Wow.
middle school, there was 3 guys that were in middle school. When I was in middle school at Johnston, they all went to Johnston Middle School. They were
Wow.
called 3 the hard way.
Okay.
Okay? So that's Wayne, Maverick, and Cedric.
Okay.
Okay, so we all ended up at Lamar at the same time. So we would do talent shows around 10th grade. And even though Wayne wasn't in high school yet, he would come and be around Cedric and Maverick.
Right.
And they would do 3 the hard way. They would either win second place and we would win first place, or we
vice
would
versa.
always,
Yeah.
we would always be like 3 the hard way and then us 5 or me and Jay. However, we were always singing everywhere. So
Yes.
I ended up graduating, and it was kind of like a prophecy because in my 1991 yearbook, they got me in the back picture by myself singing. And it says, Charles Bien as he caroons during the such and such talent show.
Yes.
Da, da, da. And I ended up with my first music scholarship
Wow.
to University of Maryland, Eastern
Wow.
Shore.
Yeah.
So I left and I went to the Black College, which is Eastern Shore, like a Prairie View for
Right.
University of Maryland. I went there. I got trained vocally as a classical vocalist with Dr. Gerald Johnson
Yes.
in Maryland, but I was intrigued by Boys to Men. Like Boys to Men come out with Motown feeling. I'm like, we used to do that. They
Yes.
went with Jodeci and everybody, and they did it. We the ones.
Yeah.
So I told Jay, I was like, Jay, listen, bro, I'm coming back home. I'm gonna go to Prairie View. Like I don't want to go to Prairie View, but I'm going to Prairie View, and I'm gonna do it because I believe in 5 years, if we do it right, bro, we gotta stay focused. We can get it. And
That's
5
right.
years later,
Wow.
we assigned a deal with Virgin Records.
Yes.
Tell them all who was on the label with you.
At that time, Janet was on the label, Virgin. Lenny Kravitz was on the label.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey was on the label, and several others. Rapper had done a deal with Virgin
Okay.
to do distribution,
Okay.
and we all fell into that whole mix of things.
Okay.
Our first single was Marvin Gaye's Inner City Blues on the original Gangsta soundtrack.
Wow.
That is huge because our first single was Marvin Gaye's Inner City Blues, which is an already #1 song by Marvin Gaye, on the original Gangsta soundtrack with Pam Grier, Fred Williamson,
Oh,
and Jim Brown.
Wow.
So God had it planned for me to be an OG
Yeah.
with a #1 song
Yes.
for the first round. Now, I left the group like 2 years later.
Okay.
I went through the touring and the this and the that and all that stuff that, when you're first, and it was it was very interesting to me because I've always had a calling on my life to do something that was a little bit different than entertainment. I don't call myself an entertainer.
Okay.
I call myself a proclaimer.
Okay.
Okay. And a proclaimer means that the message that comes out of me is proclaiming something. And I've always had that. So I knew that I was being separated.
Right.
Even though I helped give birth to this ideal baby,
Yes.
at that time I knew that there was one thing that I could not stand with. And that was the words that were coming out of our mouth.
I hear
Okay.
you. Okay.
Get On was a great song,
Right.
but it literally told women something that I don't think
You
should be
believe
told.
it. Right.
Right. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yes.
And I
Oh yeah, the
felt-
boys used to sing that all up and down the hallway.
yeah, and it literally, like I said, and I don't think that was a direction that as men of God,
Right.
because we didn't write that song. I don't think that was the direction
Okay.
that we would have chose
Right.
if we had control.
That's I got
Okay.
Yeah, because it ended up being like #1 or 2 on the charts.
It was one. And
Yeah.
then whatever you want to do came after that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I felt like this. Sometimes I feel like, you can't just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It was, and I say they great song, great group. I told them when I left I was gonna be their biggest fan and clap them on wherever they go. I was gonna follow them. I didn't have no ill will or nothing.
Mhm.
And it was different because I'm watching them on TV like everybody else, and I'm like, I got this tattoo on my arm, and I used to be on the stage, and that's woulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But God said, listen, just wait your time.
Right.
I got something great for you. And now, 20 some years later, the greatness has literally come, and it's coming even more.
That's right.
It may
That's
say you may not come when you wanted to,
But it's always right on time. That's right. Tex Freedom. Charles Vienne, Miss Tanya Moore. I don't even know. This has got to be a part two.
All right.
Yes, it's got to be a part two
Because he
because
has
what
to
we
tell his stories, or the story
Yeah.
that he actually told before we went on air. It was just so powerful.
and the thing about it is, and we'll have time to do that because you're now here, you're back in Houston.
Yeah,
But-
thank you so much.
But listen, I want you to tell people again how they can connect with you.
For sure.
If they want to connect with you, how they go about doing that, and make sure that you give us all of your social media tags so we can make sure that we put those in the comments.
For sure. Well, you can contact me and get to me by listening to all my music. We want you to listen to the song Good Life.
I was getting ready to pull it up.
There's a song out right now that we're on a mission to make sure that everybody hears. The song is called Good Life. You can go to textfreedom.com.
Yes.
Textfreedom.com. That's my Instagram handle, Text Freedom. That's our YouTube is Text Freedom Music.
Okay.
So
We're gonna put those in the comments, so you'll be able to,
Right.
you'll be able just to click the links.
And it has the whole Texas flavor too.
yeah, well, you know, it's the Texas takeover, y'all. Texas back.
Of course, Crystal loves Texas.
Yeah,
So of
yeah.
course, we
Yeah,
all want
indeed.
to make sure that we hear everything that Tex Freedom has got
Right.
coming out.
Right.
But
Now, I say this,
what's that?
even though I love Texas, Texas ain't never left me.
That's right. That's right. But listen, Rebecca, I'm gonna let you go ahead and roll us out, and you know our
Yeah.
and I'm gonna be ready to sign us out.
Okay.
We do this.
So thank you for tuning in, guys. I know this is kind of like something that's not normal for us to do, but we are expanding our show, and I told y'all it was gonna be different. So thank you guys for tuning in for this first part. Don't go nowhere. Thank you for tuning in for the first part, and we can do it. Bye.